Hello and welcome to One Cool Thing, PC Mag's daily show where we show you one cool thing which we are testing out in the PC Mag labs. I'm Sasha Segan, this is Jim Fisher, and if you're watching us on Facebook Live, then please comment and ask questions in the comments field. Social Pete will take your comments and we will have a great discussion about digital cameras today. If you're watching us on YouTube later, please like and subscribe and consider coming to Facebook's PC Mag page at 10 a.m. Eastern on a weekday if you want to participate in the discussion. Our one cool thing here today is a 360 camera, right?
It is, because there's a lens on the front and a lens on the back.
Whoa, it goes all the way around. And so, okay, so this is a 360 camera. It's a GoPro.
It is.
What is this? Has GoPro ever had a 360 before?
They kind of did. They had an Omni rig, which would let you, this is making all kinds of beeps, I'm going to turn it off for now. They had an Omni rig, which lets you mount like 12 GoPro Heroes in a weird spherical thing and then put them all into software later on. This is the first integrated, we'll say consumer model 360 camera from GoPro, and it ships with a nifty selfie stick / tripod.
Nice, nice. Okay, so this is called the GoPro Fusion.
It is.
Because it's fusing the two lenses?
Sure. Or it's creating cold fusion, you know, for powering things. I don't know. No, I think it is calling because of the two lenses and fusing the scene together into one.
Okay, so what are the specs here? What can it record in what modes?
Okay, it is a dual lens 360-degree camera. It shoots video at 30 frames per second at 5.2K resolution when stitched, which is about a 12.5 megapixel frame, each frame of video. So roughly a 60% resolution advantage over 4K 360 video. It also will shoot at 60 frames per second 3K video, which we didn't really use a lot of because it's just not enough resolution for 360. It's there for the action crowd, but you're going to have results that don't look that great. So try and stick with 30 frames per second on this. It will shoot 14.5 megapixel stills.
Okay.
It supports GoPro ProRes. I'm sorry, ProTune, not ProRes, which is an Apple thing. ProTune, which is their color, flat color profile, which can be better graded and has a higher bit rate.
Ruggedized, waterproof, works with standard GoPro mounts?
Standard GoPro mounts, waterproof to 16 feet. So not as waterproof as a normal GoPro, but if you want to put this on a surfboard and, you know, go surfing Safari USA, you're all good there.
Okay, okay. And before the show, you were pointing out to me something I thought was really unusual in terms of the specs, which is the memory card support.
Yes. There are 2 micro SD slots, one for each lens.
Huh.
Yeah.
So wait, if it's recording video onto 2 different micro SD cards, do you then have to stitch it together later?
Yes.
How does that work?
When the video files, you get this big circular fisheye look from each file. And then you go into the GoPro Fusion Studio software for Windows or Mac, and you offload your cards to a folder, or you plug this in via USB-C to your computer and import it that way, and it will stitch the files together.
So wait, there's no quick way to export this to your phone, to social media, that sort of stuff?
Okay.
You have to be a real video editor to use this?
Yes and no.
Okay.
There is a phone app right now. It has some very basic functionality. You can pull the files into your phone and you can output 360 video only to YouTube or Facebook. You cannot save it to your camera roll. So you're limited to 4K quality, and I did a test clip. It doesn't look that good right now.
Ouch.
It needs some work. The stitching on the desktop is much better. The stitching on the desktop does a really good job of getting rid of seams. We did see some issues with exposure when the sun was like at a certain point in the sky, but most of our test footage, the exposure is pretty balanced. Seams, as long as this thing's not too close to the side, it does a pretty good job hiding them. And it's got really good stabilization in the desktop stitching software that will, you know, if I'm walking around, you know, with the selfie stick extended, it looks like I'm almost on a gimbal.
Now you were blowing my mind a little bit when you first showed this to me by saying that it's a 360 camera that they don't necessarily mean for you to shoot 360 videos with.
Right, because what do you do with a 360 video? You shoot a 360 video and then someone's got to either put a headset on and look around the room like a crazy person like Sasha's doing now to see the different things, and you don't know what you're supposed to be looking at, or you're mousing through on the computer trying to find where you want, or you're tilting your tablet, or however you're ingesting it. It's not an experience that lends itself to the filmmaker showing you what you want to see. So what GoPro has introduced with this camera is something that they're calling OverCapture. And because this is 5.2K and not 4K, you actually have enough pixels to crop out a 1080p frame that looks pretty good from your 360 video in a 16:9 frame. So what you can do with the GoPro software is you can, in the desktop software for GoPro, you can do a single overcapture view per clip, per export, and do those individually. They also include animation tools that work with Adobe Premiere Pro CC. So if you have an Adobe CC subscription, you can take these tools, take the video rendered to 360, take it in there, and then animate it as 16:9 footage,
so now we have a clip of. We have examples of 16:9 frames shot with this 360 camera. Pete, why don't you throw that up for the viewer?
Stop with this. Clicking the lens is probably not the best thing to do. Let me swing that around a little bit more. Are you okay?
All right, so what you just saw was official PC Mag test dog Duke with a GoPro Fusion strapped to his back with a dog harness. And he's going out and exploring, he ends up licking the lens. And what I did was I took the 360 footage and I used these animation tools from Premiere Pro to do all kinds of pans and camera movements, and I zoomed out to a little planet view. And different things you can do. And Sasha, you described this as the Doctor Strange vortex of Hades, or the Eye of Agamotto, or something.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, yeah. I was thinking it's like either Doctor Strange or Inception, depending on what year it is.
A lot of this has to do with this. This was the first time I tried to do this. I am learning. I think with some time and with some really more skill with the animation tools, you can make something that looks not as crazy. But I wanted to show off all the different things you could do in a short video clip.
Yeah, I mean, can you use this to make 16:9 video clips where straight lines are actually straight?
You're gonna get the fisheye effect when you're toward the peripheral of the lens.
But
however, if you're pulling in tight on a subject, I mean, GoPro's got an example on its website which has a guy in a skate park going around doing skate park stuff, and the camera is just tracking him the whole time, and the camera's stationary in the middle. So it's like, I'm now out by myself. I don't have a camera crew, but I want to record myself doing weird skateboardy stuff. That's what they're pitching this for, and that's really the GoPro market.
Yeah, I mean, but I want to record myself doing skateboardy stuff, but I don't want my skateboard to actually look like a bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, it depends on, again, it depends on how far you are from the camera and where you put the lenses and what kind of architecture. You're going to get some curve. You're going to get some curve with this.
Okay. So now, what's the battery life like?
Pretty good. It's a big battery. It is larger in size, thanks to the larger camera body than what you get with a Hero 6. In our battery rundown test, where I just ran footage, 100 minutes.
At 5.2K 360.
At 5.2K 360.
So running both lenses.
Yep.
Okay. Now, can you run it with one lens if you just want like standard GoPro what's in front of you footage?
No.
Okay.
But you can power it off USB-C.
Okay. Do we have any questions out there?
I was wondering, how does this fit into the larger 360-degree market right now?
This is on the higher end of the price end for consumer products. This is $700. It is other products we've seen. The only other one I've seen, which we're still working on the review for because the software has been a work in progress with that as well, is the Garmin Verb 360. It's a 5.7K camera, and that's $800. But most are hitting the $200 to $500 price range. Our editor's choice is the $230 Samsung Gear 360, the 2017 version, which now sells for like 150 bucks, 160 bucks.
So I gotta say, that's a huge, huge difference in price there, and the Gear 360 does record 4K. So
Yeah.
what more are you getting here for you know, what is this, double, triple the price?
Yeah, you're getting good resolution. 4K for 360 video is kind of like 720p, maybe even a little bit less, because you're stretching those pixels out into the sphere. And you could, in theory, take the Samsung footage and use the same VR tools that GoPro has, on that footage, but it's just going to look real bad to crop it that much. So for the Gear 360 is good for someone who just wants to dip their toes into it and doesn't want to try and crop out 16:9 frames, just wants to shoot some 360 footage.
You know, I was using a Gear 360 a while ago. I feel like about 2 years ago, I was doing this big experiment with 360 videos on PCMag. And we published a bunch of 360 videos on PCMag, and they basically just didn't take off. No one was that interested.
I think it's a lot like 3D TV. People don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with putting something on their face to enjoy content, unless it's maybe a video game, where it makes more sense to have the immersive experience. And they don't want to self-direct. They want when you're watching a movie, we've been used to the director telling us where the camera is and where to look.
And so that's where GoPro's concept of use the 360 as the raw material for a traditional 16:9 frame, that's where that comes in.
That is the game changer with this particular product. And it's not the first we've seen that did this. Insta360 did it with the Insta360 One, which is like a little phone add-on camera, but it was 4K, and I tried it out on the phone app, which at the time was a beta, and I had pre-production hardware, and it just didn't look good. It just looked real bad.
So this is 5.2. The Garmin is 5.8. Is that as high as it goes? Did you say 5.8?
5.7.
5.7. Okay.
There's also a Yi 360, which we also have on hand for review. I'm still working on, which is 5.7K. Vuz does 4K, but it's 3D.
So is 5.7K the new 4K?
For 360, sure.
360.
There is a 6K one from Insta360, the Pro, but that's like $3 grand.
Okay.
That's not a consumer model.
Okay. Any more questions out there?
So someone wants to see a closer look on it, so if we can zoom in.
Are we okay? Zooming. Let the lens do it. I'm not going to bring it to the lens. Here's the front. You'll notice that the lenses are slightly offset, which improves the stitch quality.
And I saw the stitch in the sample footage, and there's a point at which you can notice the stitch, but it's pretty good for a stitch.
In the first shot of our footage, of the first scene, the sun is low in the sky, and we do get that exposure balance issue, where one part of the scene is a little bit brighter than the other. The other scenes, which was shot in more overcast areas, and even scenes on a sunny day where the sun was a little higher in the sky and hitting both lenses more evenly, the exposure is pretty good, and the stitch quality and stabilization are both really good for this type of camera.
Okay, let's take another question.
Is it waterproof, or do you need a case for it?
It is waterproof to 16 feet.
Okay.
So they do not offer a case to take it any deeper than that at this point.
But now, will it fit in any other GoPro cases? Because it's bigger than other GoPro models,
No, you will
right?
not. It is. There's a chance that maybe you'll see some aftermarket underwater housings from someone like Icolite.
It's not the underwater that I'm necessarily concerned with. It's scratching the lens.
Scratching the lens is a concern. There is a protective pouch, which I left back at my desk, that goes right over here and zips up for storage and transport.
Okay.
But yeah, the lenses, I didn't scratch them. We had a dog lick one of the lenses. We're going around the brush and branches were hitting it, and they're okay. There are no scratches, but you don't want to lay it down like that.
Yeah.
You want to be careful with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember when I basically broke one of your Ricoh 360 cameras by putting it on an unstable surface.
Yeah, that happens.
Having it fall onto the pavement. Let's take another question.
How heavy is it, and does it float?
I don't think I didn't try to float it.
It seems dense.
It's going to sink, and I believe it's around. I had to weigh it when we were doing the reviews at GoPro. I didn't have this back. I think it's around 8 ounces. Also, when you take this comes off, the GoPro mount comes off, so it can just sit up on itself by itself on the desk
and it's
flat surface.
It's relatively stable. It's much more stable than that darn Ricoh 360 camera was.
That was a wind issue I thought you had.
Yes, yes, but it's a very tall, narrow piece,
Yeah.
so it was catching a lot of wind and it just tipped over. That's less likely to happen here. Do we have another question? Okay. So the GoPro Fusion, $700. We haven't rated it yet?
We have not rated it yet because the mobile software experience is not ready.
Okay.
You need a seriously powerful desktop computer. We should have mentioned this earlier.
Like, say, the new iMac Pro.
I can't wait to try this with the iMac Pro. I have a 2017 Core i7, top of the line, regular iMac at home. And I still had to, when I was rendering out the video for export at 5.2K, the VR video, it took about 4 hours for a 6-minute clip out of Premiere Pro.
We definitely want to check out the new iMac Pro as a way to edit that. So the mobile software, when is that coming?
2018 early, so hopefully within the next month or two, we'll have a update our coverage for review once I get to try the mobile software.
Great, and if you're interested in dipping your toes into 360, our current editor's choice is the much less expensive Samsung Gear 360 2017 model, which does work with Windows and Mac and phones.
Yes, if you have an Android phone though, only Samsung Android phones.
Right, but works really nicely with the Samsung Android phones. I gotta say, I've tried it.
When we first reviewed it, it did not work that well with the iPhone. The iPhone software is much better now.
Okay, great. Thank you all for watching One Cool Thing. If you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, please return at 10 a.m. tomorrow, and we'll have another One Cool Thing for you.